There comes a moment in life when you realize something most people never learn. You don't have to say everything you think. The less you reveal, the more power you hold. I've spent years studying history's most formidable figures, and I've noticed something they all shared. Napoleon, Elizabeth I, Otto von Bismarck. None of them spoke more than necessary. The world teaches you that speaking is power, that the more you talk, the more respect you earn. But this is one of the greatest lies we're fed from childhood. The truth is the exact opposite. The person who offers an opinion on everything, who broadcasts their knowledge in every room they enter, is slowly bleeding away their own leverage with their own mouth. Intelligent people understand something instinctively. Every word is currency. The more you spend, the less it's worth. Those who remain quiet hold control over the room, over how others perceive them, and most importantly, over themselves. In this video, we're going to examine exactly why the sharpest, most powerful people in history speak less than everyone around them. We'll look at how silence becomes a shield for information, how it keeps your rivals in the dark, and how it sharpens your own mind in ways constant talking never could. If you've ever felt regret after saying too much, if you've ever watched someone use your own words against you after you overshared, this video is for you. Let's begin. People mistake silence for weakness constantly. They assume the quiet person is shy, has nothing to say, or is simply afraid. This is one of the most costly misunderstandings a person can carry through life. And it's exactly what keeps most people from ever discovering their real power. Open any history book and look closely at the figures who actually wielded influence. Almost without exception, they treated silence as a weapon. They understood something fundamental. The moment you speak, you expose yourself. Every sentence that leaves your mouth hands your enemy, your rival, your competitor, a piece of your intentions, your thinking, your strategy. And the more information you give away, the more ammunition you provide for others to use against you. Think of a skilled chess player. A great player never reveals their intentions before making a move. They control their breathing, their expression, even their posture, because they know the game is won by the person who knows more about their opponent than their opponent knows about them. This exact principle governs life far beyond the chessboard, in the office, in relationships, in business, in every arena where power is contested. When you offer your opinion on everything, you lay your entire hand on the table. People see exactly what you think, who you align with, who you oppose, where your weaknesses lie. And then, whether consciously or not, they use that information against you. By contrast, the person who stays quiet builds a kind of gravitational presence. Others find themselves speculating about them, trying to guess their intentions. And in that uncertainty, a strange respect takes root. Human beings are wired to be wary of what they cannot fully read. And when you refuse to make yourself fully legible, you accumulate a weight, a gravity, around your presence that words alone could never produce. Here's the critical distinction. Silence doesn't mean ignorance. It means you know, but you choose when, where, and to whom you reveal it. This is discipline. It is not deficiency. Many people believe that if they don't constantly display their intelligence, their knowledge, their insight, others will underestimate them. But the opposite tends to happen. When you speak less, people assign more weight to what you do say. When you finally open your mouth, they listen carefully, because they know you don't speak without reason. This mirrors a basic principle of human psychology. Scarcity increases perceived value. The same law that governs markets governs words. Now consider the opposite type, the person who never stops talking. In every meeting, they're the first to offer an opinion. At every opportunity, they showcase their knowledge. At first, people might be impressed, but over time, the value of everything they say erodes. People begin discounting their words automatically. There he goes again, people think, and that thought alone strips the words of their power. This person has diminished their own currency simply by spending too much of it. This becomes especially critical in situations of competition, whether against a business rival, in office politics, or in personal relationships. Your silence gives you a strategic advantage. The other person lays their cards on the table because they assume conversation should be reciprocal. You keep yours hidden. This asymmetry, knowing more while revealing less, is the essence of real power. Many people mistake silence for passivity as though it's simply the absence of action. But true silence is active. It's a decision made deliberately, again and again, the decision to pause before responding, to withhold your opinion, to simply observe and listen instead of filling the space with your voice. And this is precisely what separates genuinely intelligent people from everyone else. They understand that control lives in silence, that safety lives in silence, and that silence carries a form of power that words could never replicate, because words once spoken can never be retrieved. Consider this carefully. When you reveal your true thinking, your plans, your next move to someone, what exactly are you doing? You're handing them a weapon they can use against you whenever it benefits them. This is nowhere more visible than in business. Companies that announce their strategy prematurely give their competitors exactly what they need to build a counter move before the plan is even executed. This is why the most successful operators keep their intentions concealed until they're fully prepared to act. The announcement comes after the work is done, or once they've advanced so far that no one can stop them. The same principle governs personal relationships. When you reveal your insecurities to someone, that person, whether a close friend or someone with less goodwill, can use that information against you. It's rarely deliberate malice. It happens on a subconscious level. When people know your weak points, they exploit them. In arguments, in jokes, in moments where it serves their own interest. The same holds true when you broadcast your ambitions, your dreams, your future plans to everyone around you. You hand them two things. First, they now feel entitled to judge your progress. And if you fall short of what you announced, you carry public embarrassment. Second, some people you consider friends, consciously or not, will subtly work against your success because your progress reminds them of their own stagnation. Here's something essential to understand. Every human being, no matter how good-hearted, carries a small element of competition within them. When you share your plans openly, you unknowingly give people the opportunity to compare themselves to you, to judge you, or to position themselves against you. This is exactly why the great strategists of history, whether in warfare or in politics, placed enormous emphasis on information asymmetry. The person who knows more but reveals less always holds the advantage. Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War that the essence of victory lies in making sure your enemy never truly understands your position. This principle applies just as forcefully to everyday life. When someone asks you, "What are you thinking?" or "What's your next move?" you are not obligated to answer fully. You can speak in generalities, redirect the conversation, or simply smile and say, "We'll see how things unfold." This isn't dishonesty, it's protecting your own information. Many people view this as selfish, but in reality, it's self-preservation. Not everyone in the world wishes you well. Some people, even unconsciously, will take what you share, your ideas, your strategies, your connections, and use it for their own benefit. This is why intelligent people navigate conversations with deliberate care. They listen far more than they speak. They ask questions, they observe, they gather intelligence, while minimizing how much of their own they give away. This isn't manipulation, it's a survival strategy proven repeatedly throughout history. There's another crucial point here. The less you speak, the less exposure your mistakes receive. The more you talk, the greater the chance you'll say something that can later be used against you. A misjudgment, a hasty opinion, a statement that contradicts something you said before once circumstances change. Politicians and diplomats understand this better than anyone. This is why their answers are so calculated. They rarely give a direct yes or no unless absolutely necessary. They frame their statements to preserve maximum flexibility for the future. So the next time you feel the urge to share everything, your plans, your feelings, your secrets, pause for a moment and ask yourself, Would this person benefit from knowing this in a way that could eventually harm me? If the answer is yes, silence is the far stronger response. Human beings are naturally drawn to what they cannot fully understand. Whatever remains wrapped in mystery pulls the mind toward it instinctively. This is exactly why history's most unforgettable figures, leaders, artists, thinkers, all shared one common trait, an aura of mystery surrounding them. Think about the people you've met who left a permanent mark on your memory. Were they the ones who told you everything about themselves openly? Or were they the ones who left something unexplained, something you never fully worked out? In most cases, it's the latter. When someone reveals every thought, every emotion, every secret, the mind quickly completes a mental file on them. It categorizes them. This is who they are, and interest fades. But when someone withholds part of themselves, that mental file stays incomplete, and incomplete things are magnets for attention. Cognitive psychology confirms this. The human mind is drawn to unfinished things far more than to resolved ones. Apply this principle to your own presence. When you don't reveal everything about yourself, people continue thinking about you, continue trying to figure you out. And in that process, your significance in their mind keeps growing. This mysterious quality isn't only useful for social attraction, it's essential for professional respect as well. When you constantly offer your opinion at work, vote on every decision, weigh in on every debate, people begin to see you as predictable. And predictability is dangerous in professional life, because predictable people are easy to manipulate, easy to replace, and their perceived value diminishes. But when you speak selectively, when every word you say carries weight, when people can't anticipate how you'll react, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, handled correctly, generates respect. People become more careful around you because they don't know exactly what's running through your mind. It's important to understand, being mysterious doesn't mean lying or deceiving anyone. It simply means revealing your information strategically. You can be entirely honest while still being selective. You're not obligated to answer every question. You don't need to express every feeling. Keeping certain things for yourself or for your inner circle, or simply waiting for the right moment, this is how a mysterious presence is built. History's great leaders, whether military commanders or business titans, all understood this principle. They didn't explain their reasoning to everyone. They didn't publicly discuss their failures unless necessary. They kept their personal lives separate from their professional persona. This separation gave them an image that generated both respect and curiosity. There's another point worth understanding here. Being mysterious doesn't mean being cold or distant. You can be warm, you can be friendly, and still protect your core thoughts. This balance is the actual skill. People should think well of you as a person, while never fully knowing what's happening beneath the surface. Once you develop this skill, your entire presence transforms. When you walk into a room, people notice you, not because you're loud, but because there's a quiet confidence surrounding you that leaves an impression without needing a single word. This is exactly what separates intelligent people from the rest. They understand that their power doesn't live in their words, it lives in their silence, and they maintain that silence intentionally, strategically, and with discipline. So far, we've discussed how silence works against others, how it prevents information leaks, how it builds a mysterious aura around you. But there's another dimension to silence, perhaps the most important one, what it does for your own internal clarity. When a person talks constantly, their mind never gets a chance to rest. Every time you're voicing your opinion, you're denying your brain the processing time it needs. Your thoughts come out raw, unrefined, unexamined. By contrast, when you hold your words back, when you pause before reacting, your mind gets the opportunity to refine that thought. You examine your first reaction, question it, and arrive at a better, more calculated response. This is the difference between being reactive and being responsive. The reactive person responds instantly to everything without thinking, without analyzing. Their response is controlled directly by their emotions. The responsive person observes first, processes, and then deliberately decides what to say, or whether to say anything at all. Great thinkers, philosophers, and strategists throughout history have understood the power of this silence. They knew that the best ideas don't arrive when the mind is constantly talking, whether to itself or to others. The best ideas arrive when the mind is given space, when it's finally allowed to hear itself. This is exactly why meditation, solitude, and reflection have always been considered essential practices among history's most accomplished individuals. They gave themselves regular breaks from talking, from socializing, from external noise, so their minds could process their own thoughts. When you talk constantly, you essentially never give your mind a chance to hear its own thinking. You're continuously pouring your energy into the external world while neglecting your internal one. The result is confusion, anxiety, and weakened decision-making. But when you make silence a part of your daily life, whether through pausing in conversations or spending time alone in solitude, your mind gradually begins to clear. You start understanding your real priorities. You start recognizing what actually matters versus what's just noise. This clarity then transforms your decision-making. When your mind is clear, you make better choices in your career, in your relationships, in every area of life. You stop making impulsive decisions and start making calculated, thoughtful ones. There's another important element here. Silence helps you manage your emotions far more effectively. When you don't react instantly, you give yourself time to observe your emotional response. You can assess whether an emotion is genuine or just a fleeting reaction. This self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. People who talk constantly often become hostages to their own emotions. Whatever they feel, they immediately say and regret it later. But people who practice silence create a gap between their emotions and their response. Real wisdom is born in that gap. This is exactly why intelligent people build regular moments of silence into their lives. Whether it's a morning walk, journaling, or simply sitting quietly for a while. This practice gives them an advantage not just against the world, but against themselves. Control over their own mind. Without this control, a person lives reactively, responding to everything, reacting to every comment, scattering their energy in every direction. But once you master silence, you begin living your life intentionally, strategically, and with clarity. There's a fascinating principle in human psychology. The rarer something is, the higher its perceived value. This applies not just to products and resources, but to human words as well. Think about the people who talk the most. In every meeting, every conversation, every social gathering, they're always the loudest voice in the room. At first, people might see them as energetic or knowledgeable, but over time, everyone begins discounting what they say. There they go again becomes the unconscious thought, and the value of everything they say keeps declining. By contrast, the person who speaks only when necessary, who thinks before they talk and listens the rest of the time, has their words carry far more weight. When they finally speak, people pay attention because they know this person doesn't talk without reason. This phenomenon is clearest in the corporate world. In meetings, the people who speak the least but offer precise, valuable insights when they do speak earn the most respect. Their promotions often outpace those of people who constantly assert their presence loudly. This is exactly why leadership training so often emphasizes listen more, speak less. This isn't just a nicety, it's a strategic advantage. The more you listen, the more information you gather. You come to understand the real motivations, concerns, and fears of your colleagues, your competitors, your clients. And armed with that information, when you finally speak, your words are more precise, more relevant, and more impactful. Here's an important distinction. Silence doesn't mean passivity. It's active observation. You're just as engaged in silence as you are in speaking, except your focus is internal rather than external. This same principle governs sales and negotiation. The negotiator who talks too much exposes their desperation, their urgency, their weak points. But the negotiator who controls their own words lets the other party talk instead, and in that process identifies their weaknesses, their urgency, their pressure points. This is exactly why the best negotiators never reveal their full hand early. The same holds true in romantic relationships. Silence creates a strange kind of attraction. The person who reveals everything about themselves on the first meeting extinguishes their own mystery. But the person who reveals themselves gradually, layer by layer, keeps curiosity and interest alive in the other person. It's essential to understand that the world respects people who don't give their value away easily. The more freely available something is, the less it's worth. This applies not just to products, but to human attention, human opinions, and human presence. When you make every thought, every opinion, every reaction freely available, people begin to view them as cheap. But when you share them selectively, their perceived value rises automatically. This principle has only intensified in the age of social media. People who offer their opinion on every issue, comment on every trending topic, watch their voice gradually turn into nuds. But people who share their thoughts selectively and thoughtfully find that every post they make carries far greater impact. So the next time you feel the urge to share your opinion everywhere on everything, pause and ask yourself, will speaking on this increase my value or diminish it? More often than not, the answer is that silence is the stronger strategy. We've now examined why silence is so powerful, how it protects information, how it builds a mysterious aura, how it sharpens your internal clarity, and how the world takes quiet people more seriously. The question now is, how do you actually apply this principle in practice? The first step is learning to pause. Whenever someone asks you a question or a situation demands a reaction, give yourself a beat, a second or two, before responding. This pause protects you from instant reaction and gives you the space to think about what actually needs to be said and what doesn't. The second step is asking yourself, is this necessary? Before speaking, ask yourself, does this need to be said? Will this benefit me, or will it just expose information to others? If the answer isn't clear, choose silence. The third step is practicing active listening. When you're in a conversation, focus entirely on listening, not on rehearsing what you'll say next. Most people spend conversations waiting for their turn to speak rather than actually listening. But when you truly listen, you gather far more information, and your understanding deepens. The fourth step is being selective about your personal life and your plans. You don't owe everyone every detail. Keep certain things for your trusted, close circle and share with the rest of the world only what's necessary. This not only protects you, it makes your close relationships more meaningful, because what you do share with them carries real value. The fifth step is making solitude part of your routine. Whether it's daily meditation, journaling, or simply sitting alone for a while, these practices help clear your mind. In that solitude, you process your thoughts, understand your priorities, and listen to your own internal voice. The sixth step is observing your emotional reactions instead of expressing them instantly. When something makes you angry, excited, or upset, instead of reacting immediately, ask yourself, why did this emotion arise? Is it genuine or just momentary? This self-observation gives you control over yourself. The seventh step is paying attention to your body language as well. Silence isn't limited to words. Your body language can reveal just as much. Calm, controlled body language, without unnecessary fidgeting, without excessive expressions, reinforces the mysterious aura you're building. The eighth and final step is practicing patience. The benefits of silence don't show up instantly. This is a long-term strategy. As you embed this practice into your life, you'll gradually notice the shift. How people treat you will change, your decision-making will improve, and your internal peace will deepen. Here's one final and essential point. Silence doesn't mean hiding your true self, avoiding courage, or becoming cold. Silence is a balance, speaking when necessary and listening and observing the rest of the time. This is discipline, this is wisdom, And this is exactly the quality that sets you apart from everyone else. History's most powerful, most respected, and most successful figures, regardless of their field, all embrace this principle. They understood that real power doesn't live in words. It lives in the intelligent use of words, and even more so in the intelligent use of silence.